Thanks for joining us again on the Exploring Mining podcast. Today, my conversation is with Jeff Clark, founder of thegoldadvisor.com and Paydirt Prospector newsletter. Jeff offers a wealth of knowledge to any interested in the junior space. In today's show, Jeff talks about uranium, copper, lithium, gold, and quite a few juniors to take a look at from his free newsletter on thegoldadvisor.com. We talk about the macro impacts on the commodities markets and the optimism for 2025 in mining. Jeff recently just announced new features for accredited investors with his new Resource Advisor premium service. To find out more, visit thegoldadvisor.com. As a reminder to investors, please read all disclaimers and disclosures, and as always, do your own due diligence. Jeff, it's so great to have you back on the show. There's obviously a lot going on in the markets, in the news. You mentioned to me the Russia and missiles, so I feel like that's a good place to start as it's relevant, and I'm sure that will have an impact on gold and a lot of the commodities.
Absolutely. I was not pleased to see that news that, a missile hit and people were killed. I don't understand why this war is continuing to go on. Why can't they resolve it? You know what? My fear is, though, maybe they'll try to get it resolved before Trump is sworn into office, because I think everybody knows that, he'll do something. He's not afraid to do something. So I hope this doesn't escalate, but I sure hope they can get it resolved before Trump's in.
From your last presentation at MIF and just a lot of things that are happening on the planet, in your presentation, the 2008 crash and then the bounce back in a lot of the commodity stocks with all the geopolitical tensions, and we've seen crashes and all kinds of wild times over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I'd love for you to just walk us through what you think we're heading into in 2025 for, again, commodities, gold, and then some of the juniors.
I think 2025 is going to be a very good year for us. I don't want to make any price predictions or anything, but we're in a bull market. There will be corrections. The average correction is anywhere from 8 to 12% in past bull markets. Surges are averaging 20 to 30%. So, I think it's going to, for gold and silver, sort of a two steps forward, one step back thing. I think, the fuse has been lit for juniors. I've said that before. I said that in the MIF presentation, but it's true. If you look at history, once you see investors rush into gold, and when somebody fires a missile and blows people up, you don't think, oh, I got to buy a junior stock. No, they go to gold first. And we have that. So we have a rush into gold. Next would be for the producers. They're really generating strong free cash flow. Barrick and Newmont, the two big ones, did not have a good Q4 so far. So we'll see. But other producers have, and it's because of the gold price. And then we'll see money flow down into developers and then into juniors. So that's why I say the fuse is lit. We don't know how long that fuse is, but I think it's lit and money is going to come into the juniors. That is likely going to happen in 2025. That's what I think for gold and silver. Gold would lead, silver will lag, as we've seen, but silver will catch up and pass it on a percentage gain basis before this is all over. So I'm very bullish on those. I'm also bullish on copper and uranium for or supply demand, more structural issues. So I think those stocks in that area are going to do well in 2025 as well. So that's where I'm focusing a lot of my personal money right now.
What are you thinking for uranium? I mean, we're back to some of the lows that we saw. Feels like deja vu that, the market's almost back where we started before the big run. Do you think, again, with some of this geopolitical, Russia, all these things, Trump, there's so many wild cards.
Yeah, right. I'm bullish on uranium, and hey, when it's pulled back as much as it has, that's a buy for me. So I actually just bought another tranche of a stock that's in our paid newsletter. We have some in our free newsletter as well. But I just bought another tranche because it got down to a price that I really liked. So I'm still bullish on uranium. The pullback is normal. It's typical. But there's a structural issue with uranium. The supply demand issue and all the things you mentioned those are all bullish in the long term. So if you take a big picture, long-term view, um, this is kind of a buy, in my opinion.
Do you think now with Elon Musk joining with Trump and his whole new board that he's
Mhm.
basically put together, that nuclear really will be pushed and we might see even a bigger market for it next year, and whether that's government grants or wherever that, but really the push that probably was needed to keep those prices this year?
That's a good point. Yeah. If he has any influence at all with on the government side of things with uranium, it's going to get even more bullish. And, love him or hate him, he did pull the electric vehicle industry forward by 10 years or whatever. He could do the same thing with uranium. So that's just another reason, in my view, to be bullish. It'll be very interesting to see what he does. Him and Trump combined together, boy, there's gonna be some fireworks.
I feel like that's an understatement for what we're going to witness
Right.
in January. Speaking of the US and the changes, there was an article out on mining.com about Doug Burgum coming in, and as everyone keeps relating to him as the energy czar, and all the permitting possibilities that will be streamlined with the EPA. And one of the commentaries was that hopefully, fingers crossed, Canada will feel the need to push ourselves along and catch up. What do you think, obviously positive impact for mining, but what do you think do you think that could really help again build that following out and light that fuse faster for the exploration and discovery stories?
Definitely. A lot of the companies working in the US, though, are Canadian companies, but the US itself is, I mean, the trajectory is in place, and it's starting. Permitting is going to get easier and be more streamlined in the US for projects. So that's a great thing. We'll see how much it actually plays out. Could it influence Canada? You know what, Callie, that's a great question because you know, Trump is threatening tariffs, you know, for a lot of countries, and one of them is Canada. So you have two forces kind of conflicting there. So we'll see what happens. Did you see the article? I think it was behind a paywall, but it was about Quebec saying that companies can no longer make claims online because it may infringe on First Nations issues. That's a big blow, and if that really takes force and takes effect, that could make Quebec perhaps a little less attractive. And they're always, top one, two, three jurisdictions in the world every year. So I hope that doesn't spread. But there was even talk that it could be made retroactive. That's crazy. So we'll see what happens. But BC is suddenly maybe more attractive. Oh, I mean, Nevada's going to have to be the number one jurisdiction in the world because of those things that are happening there and the positive things that are happening in the US. So we'll see what happens, but I'm not saying I wouldn't invest in Quebec, but I'm definitely going to check with management and see just how much they've been able to acquire claims, and are they sure? Is there certainty around those claims?
Yeah, that's shocking, but I guess we'll see how that.
It is.
Obviously, there's lots of ups and downs. There's so many, like I said, wild cards coming into 2025 for investors out there that are looking at, whether that's a gold junior in Nevada or, a lithium property in Quebec. I guess obviously Quebec maybe not maybe the best one until we find out that answer. But what would you suggest, or what are you looking at specifically as like your criteria for into 2025? Is it jurisdiction wise? Is it market cap?
That's a great question. I think, someone's criteria has to be more stringent, not less. It's just that you might find it easier for companies to get permitting in the US if Trump and his czar can do what they want, right? But you have to look at the people. And you know what? Because of everything that's happening, I think people is going to be even a greater criteria. It's always number one. I mean, it's going to be even a stronger number one because of everything happening. You want someone or a team that has been through turmoil and volatility and market changes and regulatory changes before and successfully navigated through them. You could have a management team working in Nevada that has no experience in navigating what's a positive jurisdiction. You might find that a team in Mexico with all the things happening down there, but they've navigated successfully through it for 2 decades. They might be a stronger candidate. They might have stronger people in place than what that team in Nevada has with no experience. I want a team that's not just experienced, but successfully navigated these kinds of changes before.
We've talked a little bit about uranium and gold and silver. Tell me your thoughts on copper. Obviously, I mean, there's 2 billion people on the planet that still can't turn on the light switch. So I don't feel, again, copper's
Yeah,
anywhere for our energy transition. What are you looking at in copper?
very high conviction for copper in 2025. You can't go green without it. You can't go green without nuclear, really, in most places. Uh, you can't go green without silver. But with copper, again, it's a structural thing between supply and demand. Demand is rising strongly. Supply cannot keep up by the most conservative projection. Supply won't keep up. And you have the green energy movement. That demands copper. Did you know there's more copper in an EV car than there is in an ICE car, internal combustion engine? The demand for copper is going nowhere but up. Yes, it will get hurt in a recession. So, in fact, did you know that copper has never risen in a recession in the US since the 1960s? The copper price has always fallen. But again, we're not betting on copper so much as we are, a copper company that's in exploration or development or ready to go into production that has a major catalyst in place that it can rise despite what is happening in a recession. But that's a short-term issue. A recession is a short-term concern for copper. I have high conviction for it, and I am actively investing in copper stocks right now.
Those are very good points. I did not know half of that, so thank you.
It's great. I love what I do, Callie. I really do. I'm an investor too. It all starts there. It isn't me selling subscriptions on a website. It's me as an investor with my own money at stake, and I'm looking at, okay, what do I need to know about this? And that's what drives a lot of what I do is answering it for myself and then sharing it with people.
Obviously, I'm sure our listeners would love to hear a couple of your picks that you have. Pick a couple from your free newsletter and talk about both your newsletters that you have.
For copper, I like AMark Resources, pre-discovery, but millions of dollars. I think the last count was 17 million being spent there. They are going to have a lot of, they're permitted. They've drilled. Their season is ending now in BC. They're going to have tons, no pun intended, of drill results coming out from now to March. And pre-discovery, so if they hit something, that could be very, very good. Let's see, who else? For lithium, I like Cantor Resources in Nevada. They're very active. The team that has made prospected the land for all the three major lithium discoveries in Nevada is also working with this team at Cantor, and they believe they have the best land of all that they've explored in Nevada. Pre-discovery, but they're getting great sniffs of lithium and boron. That stock is dirt cheap. I mean, no pun intended. I think it's below 4 million now, the market cap. So incredible buy if you want that. Helios Star Metals is it's already doubled. It's doubled in the last 3 months, but a great team. That one's probably a five bagger. But be careful. Don't buy it after it's run up so much. Let it cool a little bit. Buy it on a dip. Hercules Metals with their copper discovery in Idaho. I really like them. Independence Gold. It's doubled for us, but it's pulled back now some. Great entry point. Gold discovery up in BC, right next to the Valentine mine, what Artemis is doing, Artemis Gold. So that they could be a buyout candidate as they continue to prove that up. A new pick is Luca Mining, two assets in Mexico that with a new CEO, an aggressive plan in place, that stock's probably a double in weighting. It's up a little bit since we recommended it, so buy it on a dip. Radisson Mining, I really like them. Great company exploring in Quebec. They're already permitted, so no issues there. Um, Huge drill program, new CEO this past year, so I really like them. That's a buy right now. Scorpio Gold had some good news out today. We wrote about them. And then probably Vizsla Silvers, if you want a great silver pick. And then Vox Royalty is our only royalty pick in the portfolio right now. We love that company, a young but very aggressive team that's very experienced and growing like gangbusters. Revenue is just now starting to pour in. Lots of gold from Australia, royalty on gold projects from Australia. Really like them. But hey, there's 21 companies. You can view it for free at thegoldadvisor.com. Just go to the portfolio page and you can see all the companies that we recommend. We provide newsletter quality analysis on them for free. All you got to do is sign up. And we don't sell your email, by the way. No spam or anything like that. So
I was hoping for two, and you gave me so many. That's fantastic. I especially love that you picked a lithium play as well, because I feel like, no one's wanted to talk about lithium for like the last eight,
uh,
9 months.
right, for good reason. The price, it did that huge spike and then it crashed. It gave it all back. That's the lithium price. And there is an oversupply issue with lithium, might continue into 2025. But hey, if a company makes a discovery, that's going to matter. And so that's why I'm in there. Oh my gosh, that stock is so cheap right now.
For the most part, I feel like we have hit at least close to bottom for lithium prices. And what I have seen is there is money coming back in the strategic side for lithium deals, which to me is a good sign for the long term. Yes, maybe not short term, but
Why would the big money invest in a lithium project and pour millions into something if they thought the lithium price, if they saw the lithium price was flat, because they believe that project is going to have something, economic.
so you have the 21 companies on your free newsletter, and then how many companies do you cover in your paid one for investors that are interested in joining that as well?
Yeah, that's Pater Prospector. That's a paid newsletter. It's pretty cheap right now if someone wants to check it out, but we have, I think, 24 companies there, a lot of companies. And by the way, I have two new picks. I'm writing them up right now as you and I talk. So two new picks that are coming in early January. One of them will be at the Metals Investor Forum. They'll both be at Vancouver Resource Investment Conference. So getting aggressive there. We're taking profits on a double here any day now. They're going to hit first pour. So we've got a double on that. So we have lots of extra cash from that. So I love it. And Callie, you'll be the first one to know. We are launching a premium service on Monday, the 20 or no, Monday the 16th, I think when this comes out, right? That'll be a premium service for high net worth investors that want to invest in private placements. And we're announcing a new pick that day for that service. It's one that investors can get in right now. So we're rocking and rolling. And Peter, by the way, is going to have a new silver service starting the first week of January. He's going to have the silver advisor, just like my gold advisor. So, man, we are rocking and rolling. We're ready to go.
That is so exciting, and congratulations. I asked Peter on the podcast the other day, what have been your favorite stories for 2024, whether that's a stock pick that you just had the best results that you could have hoped for, or is that one of the metals that you felt was just like the story of 2024, or what's been your favorite so far?
Oh, that's a good question. I have a bunch of favorites, but again, my outlook for 2025 is definitely gold, high conviction on copper, continuing to buy uranium, silver will ignite at some point in maybe 2025. But silver's so darn spiky. I mean, you gotta be in or you're out. You got to be in for before that happens because it happens so fast and so suddenly that if you're not in, you're going to pay a lot more to ride that spike. So that's coming too. Some great stories on companies that I've written up, both on the free site. Again, people can read it for free, and in the paid newsletter that's coming up. There's a couple that I really like that I'm investing in, or will wait now since I know I'm going to recommend it and buy after we introduce it to people.
So for VRIC and MIF, what days do you know the days that you're speaking at MIF? And then are you down both days for VRIC that investors and companies can come meet you and shake your hand?
Yes, or they can, slap me if there's something they don't like about what we do. But yes, MIF, I speak the first day. I'm looking at the calendar here. Looks like 11 a.m. on Friday the 17th. And then I'll be there Saturday, of course, as well. I got a bunch of companies already lined up for my talk. Um, and then I'll be at VRIC both days, Sunday and Monday. I'm scheduled to speak. I don't have my time slot yet, but I will, and I'll have hopefully some pretty good things to share in my talk there.
I wanted to talk about how obviously the whole investor pool has changed so much in the last few years with mining. And, we've seen Australia come in and out of the Canadian and US juniors. And now, again, I feel like because of the permitting, they're starting to take a look back in and spend some of their money back here. What do you think for 2025 as we're slowly seeing millennials jump on the gold and silver wagons, but they're not really mining investors yet? What do you think will be that transition or place where they decide to see, okay, I'm going to look at junior stocks now?
I think a lot of millennials, the younger generation, are becoming aware of fiat from their investments in crypto. That fiat, pretty pictures and on paper are not really money. And I think as that becomes more and more of a realization for them, they'll come to gold because gold is the ultimate money. Um, and then secondly, I think a lot of them will come over to the gold market, including the miners, some of them, once those other markets get weak. So if crypto gets weak, if the S&P declines, if any of those things go into a bear market, they're going to see a lot of green on the screen, if you will, with the miners and with gold. So I think that will happen. We could see a really nice 2025 when they come over and plus, like I was saying earlier, when funds and institutions and big money starts really investing in the juniors. And by the way, Callie, we're seeing some of that already. There are a lot of some big raises that some juniors and developers have been able to secure. Why are these big institutions and funds putting large amounts of money into tiny little companies? Well, they think there's a change coming and that those companies specifically have something that'll do really well. So I think 2025 is going to be fun. You and I are going to have this interview next December, and I think we'll both be a lot happier.
Oh, I love that answer. I wanted to also quickly talk about in I think it was your last presentation at MIF that you showed the difference in volume from 2020, 2011 on the TSX Venture. Again, do you think if we start to get these millennials or they all start to look at these Canadian juniors, will we reach that volume level again for?
Yeah, that's one chart I want to update. I'm going to wait till the year's over and then update it for VRIC and show if volumes are increasing or not. The amount or the dollar amount of investments in private placements and financings from funds and institutions is up. It's up dramatically, like 40%. It's the highest it's been since 2011. So money's coming back in. I'd like to see volumes on the exchanges pick up as well, and I'll be reporting on that and showing a chart of that at VRIC.
Jeff, do you have any closing words for investors of what to close 2024 off with? And obviously sign up for your newsletter and anything else that you think they should know.
Well, don't give up because I really do believe, based on history and based on what's happening now, that the fuse has been lit. We will see money coming down into the juniors. We will see doubles and triples. We've already seen a couple doubles in companies we cover anyway. And there will be more, and they'll get easier once the big money really starts to flow into the market. So that's what I'm looking forward to. At least that's, my money's where my mouth is. So that's how I'm investing, and I'm personally overweight the mining sector. So if it doesn't work, and I'm completely wrong, Cali, maybe you have a couch I can sleep on. We'll see.
Well, Jeff, you're always such a pleasure. Thank you so much for this today.
It's great to be with you, Cali. Let's do it again.
Well, that does it for today's Exploring Mining podcast. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor for this podcast, please contact InvestorIdeas.com. InvestorIdeas.com reminds all listeners to read our disclaimers and disclosures on the InvestorIdeas.com website. All investment involves risk, and this podcast is not meant to be an endorsement to buy or sell securities or products. To hear more podcasts, you can go to InvestorIdeas.com/audio. And a reminder, you can also hear our podcasts on iTunes, Spotify,